Well, I'll talk you through it.
Right.
So this is there's two types of enamel. There's opaque. So the white dials, traditional watches are opaque.
So this one,
What you can't see through is opaque. So the greens, the iron creams, the whites.
Yeah.
And then you get transparent enamels, which you can see through. And
Yeah.
that's what we use for fumés, or that's what you'll do if you've got engravings on the dial underneath. So these are the two types of enamel, opaque and transparent. And they are coloured with pigments in the manufacturing process. So the enamel is made in a big, is molten. That's all the ingredients go in. It's mostly the stuff that makes glass, but there's other ingredients as well. Lead is one of them. The kind of the more controversial ones because it's dangerous for health. But you have your big vat of molten stuff. They pour it out, and it looks like a big lump of molten coloured glass, and then you smash that up into bits, and then you grind it into a very fine powder, and then that is the enamel that you use on the dial. So at that point, you put it into the kiln, and it gets about 800 degrees centigrade, melts down. You take it out, you file it, and then you reapply a layer. So going back, like enamel is difficult because you have got a perfectly flat dial, which is around 1 millimeter thick. It has to be. I mean, I say around to give you an idea of how thick it is, but it has to. Each one has to be a particular. Like we're talking tenths of a millimeter in accuracy. But you've got this combination of metal and glass that's fused together, and it goes in and out of a kiln, which means it's going from 20 degrees to 800 degrees, back to 20, back to 800. Just like this. And if you think about the expansion and contraction of glass and metal, very different materials, and they'll warp and they'll crack and all these things. So to get this item that's say like 35 millimeters in diameter, millimeter, perfectly flat, perfectly consistent, to do that by hand and not have it crack or warp or have imperfections in it, that's why enameling's hard, because you're making something that is essentially a kind of a machine tolerance item, but completed by hand. And the enamelers will talk about a kind of each style having a personality. Like they have to understand how this one is working, and it might be they might be doing white ones or purple ones or whatever, and they're each one will be different and it will behave in different ways. And it's about having that kind of understanding connection of to be able to react to it and to be able to to dampen it or deal with it in different ways so that it comes out right. And that is why people don't make enamel very often, I think, basically.
It's learning for you. I'm guessing you'd have to it's based on experience, right? You need to learn, right?
There's a lot of shortcuts. I mean, not shortcut, but there's a lot of workworkarounds. Like when I was saying earlier that in the beginning it was just one problem after another you had to solve.
Mm-hmm.
And there are things, but there are things you would never think of. Like there are things that, like there was a guy called Phil Barnes who sadly died about 5 years ago. He was a master enameler, and he was a third generation. I know his father I think he was third generation, and he'd started at 15, and he was in his 50s when he died, I think. A phenomenal enameler. But the knowledge he had was not from his lifetime alone. It was from, his father's lifetime. And his father would have got things from other enamelers because it was a much, much more common profession then. So there's all these things that all this knowledge that's kind of been lost, I think, in the large part, that makes it, I wouldn't say easier. Easier is not, if any of the enamelers listen to this and I'm describing something as easy, I'll get punched. So, there's a lot of lost knowledge, but it's practice, to go back to your question, and knowing how to deal with things when they go wrong, or how to stop things going wrong in the first place. It is a real craft.
And what's the vision for the watches? Because you've got the Model 1, 2, 3. Is there a Model 4 on the horizon?
Well, this is funny. When we started, everyone was calling their watches things like the Endeavour, or I don't know if that's actually someone's watch name, but it was like it was words that brought emotions out in you. Like, and this, you know, earlier what I was saying about not wanting to attach them. The reason I called the Model 1 was because I didn't want people to judge the watch based on the feeling or the connotations they had. If I'd called it like the minimal or the green, you know, I'd think about mid-century architecture or Mies van der Rohe. If I was thinking of something like, for example, there'll be things that came to mind. And I didn't want any of that. So I was like, I'm going to call this watch the Model 1. And everything that comes to your mind will come to your mind from seeing the watch, not from the connotations that come with the name. But now every watch is called the Series A, the Model B, the whatever. It's all become very kind of, which is, I mean, I'm not saying we invented that at all. It was a thing that happened in the design industry. It was very common, but just in watches, like we'd kind of done that first. And so I think I'm going to come up with some funny names that's my vision really for the next names. One. The Model 4 is not going to happen. It's going to be something else.
That's going to be crazy. You go Model 1, 2, 3, 4, and then something mental.
Yeah, just to change it because I'm getting fed up with the numbers. But yeah, there's the question was what's happening with watches. What's going on? What's going to happen? Yeah, we've got the Model 4. It's lovely, and it's going to come out later in the year.
Oh,
yeah. We got Model 6 as well. I mean, 5 didn't work, but 6 is also, so we've got a lot coming out.
So are you working, how many years ahead would you be designing before launch? How long is that process? But because, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the thing we do, which is stupid, is that everything we do has always got something that's difficult to do in it. Otherwise, there's no point in doing it, as I see. You know, if you're bringing something out that someone's done already, or then don't bother because there's no interest in it. So things always take longer than they should do, and so there's always something holding things up. But if say we wanted to do another Model 1, it would take however long cases take to make. It's normally 6 months from prototype and that's an external thing, so we can't really control that too much. That's the same for everyone. And the dial, we can make a dial in a day, probably 2 days, if we got it right the first time. But so it can be very fast, but generally, we started working on the Model 4 about 2 or 3 years ago, I think, probably, and Model 6 about a year ago. That's probably got another year left in it, so be about that.
If you guys enjoyed that clip, please do me a huge favor before you go and head over to our Into the Mind podcast official page where we have the raw, uncut Into the Mind podcast, and hit that subscribe button. And the more subscribers we get, the more incredible guests we can get on the show. I really appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you so much. And I'll see you all real soon.